You wake up exhausted even after a full 8 hours of sleep. You eat clean, you exercise, you do everything right, and yet the weight keeps creeping up around your belly. You feel wired at night, but completely drained in the morning. Something is off. And millions of people are living this exact experience right now without ever knowing what is actually causing it. Today, we are going to talk about the hormone that could be secretly sabotaging your health, your sleep, your weight, and your mood, and the 7 signs that tell you it is running dangerously out of control. Cortisol. You have probably heard the word thrown around. Stress hormone. Fight or flight. But most people do not truly understand how deeply this one molecule can disrupt every single system in your body when it stays elevated for too long. And the scary part is that the signs are so common, so everyday, that most people just accept them as normal. They assume this is just what getting older feels like. They blame stress at work or poor genetics. But what if your body has been sending you clear, specific warning signals and nobody taught you how to read them? That is exactly what we are covering today. 7 signs your cortisol is too high. Stay until the end, because sign number 7 is the one that surprises people the most, and it is also one of the most overlooked health signals your body can give you. Sign number 1 is waking up tired no matter how much you sleep. This one trips people up because they assume sleep problems mean they are not getting enough hours. But cortisol follows a natural rhythm in your body. It is supposed to be low at night, so you can rest and then rise in the early morning to help you wake up feeling alert. When cortisol is chronically elevated, that rhythm gets flipped. You can lie in bed for 9 hours and still drag yourself through the first half of your day feeling like you got hit by a truck. The sleep you are getting is not restorative because your nervous system never fully powers down. Your body is still in a low-grade state of emergency all night long. Sign number 2 is belly fat that will not budge no matter what you try. This one is particularly frustrating because people work so hard in the gym and the kitchen and see almost nothing change around their midsection. Cortisol drives fat storage specifically in the abdominal area. This is not random. It is your body preparing for a threat by storing energy close to your core organs. Combine that with the fact that high cortisol can increase your cravings for sugar and high-calorie foods, and you have a system that is actively working against your fitness goals. The harder you push yourself with intense workouts and calorie restriction without addressing cortisol, the worse it can actually get. Sign number 3 is feeling anxious or on edge for no clear reason. When cortisol is high, your brain is essentially stuck in threat detection mode. Small problems feel enormous. Traffic feels unbearable. An unanswered email can send your heart racing. This is not a personality flaw or weakness. This is your nervous system operating under chemical pressure. Your body is flooding itself with a hormone that is designed to help you outrun a predator, but you are sitting at your desk answering messages. That mismatch creates a baseline of anxiety that many people just normalize over years. Sign number 4 is getting sick constantly. Cortisol has a direct suppressive effect on your immune system. Short bursts of cortisol can actually be helpful in managing inflammation, but when levels stay high for weeks, months, or years, your immune defenses weaken significantly. You start catching every cold that passes through your office. Wounds take longer to heal. Infections linger. Your body's defense army is running low on resources because everything is being redirected toward the perceived emergency that cortisol is constantly signaling. Sign number 5 is brain fog and memory problems. High cortisol is particularly damaging to a region of the brain called the hippocampus, which plays a central role in forming and retrieving memories. People with chronically elevated cortisol often report walking into a room and forgetting why they are there, struggling to focus during conversations, losing words mid-sentence, or feeling mentally sluggish even after coffee. This is one of the most alarming signs because cognitive changes can be easy to dismiss as stress or aging. But the underlying driver might be a hormonal imbalance that is actually correctable. Sign number 6 is disrupted sleep, where you are wide awake at 2 or 3 in the morning. This is different from the morning exhaustion in sign 1, though they are connected. If your cortisol spikes in the middle of the night, which it can when levels are dysregulated, your body essentially sounds an internal alarm. You snap awake, often with racing thoughts or a sense of dread, even though nothing is actually wrong. Some people experience this as anxiety dreams. Others just lie there with a buzzing, restless feeling. This middle-of-the-night awakening is a classic sign that your cortisol rhythm has lost its natural cadence and your stress response system needs serious attention. Now, before we get to sign number 7, let us talk about what causes cortisol to get stuck at these high levels in the first place. Because understanding the cause is how you begin to fix it. Chronic psychological stress is the obvious one, but it is not the only driver. Poor sleep creates a feedback loop that raises cortisol, which then worsens sleep. Excessive exercise without adequate recovery can keep cortisol elevated. A diet high in processed foods, sugar, and caffeine sends cortisol surging repeatedly throughout the day. Even excessive screen time and social media scrolling activates low-level threat responses in the brain that keep cortisol trickling out around the clock. The modern lifestyle is essentially a cortisol production machine, and most people never stop to question it. Sign number 7 is changes in your skin and hair. This one gets almost zero attention, which is why it surprises so many people. But cortisol affects skin and hair in very concrete ways. Chronically high cortisol can cause your skin to become thin, fragile, and prone to bruising or slow healing. It can trigger or worsen conditions like acne, eczema, and psoriasis because of its complex relationship with inflammation. For your hair, elevated cortisol is linked to increased shedding and can contribute to conditions like telogen effluvium, where large numbers of hairs shift into a resting phase and then fall out weeks or months after a period of intense stress. If you have noticed your hair thinning, your skin acting up in unusual ways, or small cuts that just seem to linger, this may be your body's outer layer telling you that something deeper is dysregulated. So what do you do if several of these signs feel familiar? First, do not panic, because cortisol dysregulation is one of the most responsive conditions to lifestyle changes. Sleep has to become a non-negotiable priority, not a luxury, not something you optimize after everything else. The cornerstone of your recovery. Your stress management practices need to move from occasional to daily, whether that is breathwork, meditation, nature walks, journaling, or simply reducing your inputs and obligations. Nutrition matters enormously here, cutting back on stimulants and refined sugar while building your meals around whole foods and adequate protein. And if you suspect your cortisol has been elevated for a long time, it is worth having a conversation with a healthcare provider about testing options, because there are real measurable ways to see what is happening in your body. Here is the bottom line. Cortisol is not your enemy. It is a brilliant survival tool that kept our ancestors alive in genuinely dangerous situations. The problem is that your brain cannot fully distinguish between a charging lion and a stressful Tuesday morning, and your body pays the price for that confusion every single day that the signal stays on. Learning to recognize these 7 signs is the first step toward reclaiming your energy, your health, and your mental clarity. If this video gave you a new way to look at what your body has been trying to tell you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And subscribe, because we go this deep every single week.